Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Protean eGov Technologies Q4 FY24 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in listen-only mode and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then 0 on your touch-tone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Ms. Pushpa Mani, Vice President, Head of Investor Relations, Protean. Thank you and over to you, ma'am.
Thanks, Shreya. Good evening, everyone. We welcome you all to the Q4 and FY24 results discussion. Management on call would be represented by Mr. Suresh Sethi, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Jayesh Sule, Whole-Time Director and Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Sudhir Bhatia, Chief Financial Officer, and myself, Pushpa Mani, Head Investor Relations. Before we begin, I would like to mention that some of the statements in today's discussion would be forward-looking in nature, and we believe that the expectations contained in these statements are reasonable. However, these statements involve a number of risks and uncertainties that may lead to different results. With this, I would invite Mr. Sethi to give opening remarks. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you, Pushpa. Good evening, everyone. Many thanks for joining us for our Q4 and FY24 earnings call. We are, as always, thankful to you for your continued support and interest. Let me begin this call by taking you through a quick overview of our unique business model, especially for those who may be new to our journey and are joining this call the first time. Just to give a quick introduction to the company, Protean eGov Technologies Ltd. As a company, we have been a pioneer and market leader in building digital public infrastructure, a journey which has run over last 3 decades for over 28 years. We have been one of the cornerstones of digital India evolution, right from creating population-scale e-governance platforms for taxation, social security, to enabling digital identity through foundational DPIs across identity, payments and data. Going forward, aligning with India's visionary DPI framework, which is now built on open standards and protocols, Protean continues to be one of the leading contributors towards multi-sector open digital ecosystems that are coming across various sectors of the economy. We are today contributing in the area of e-commerce, in transport and mobility, in agriculture, in education and in health. Our business can broadly be classified under 4 pillars. Right from the inception, our first pillar has been towards building e-governance platforms. That is where our journey began in modernizing India's direct tax infrastructure and building a robust tax information network for the country. We also got the mandate to issue India's first digitally verifiable credentials, what we all know today as the National Tax ID, the PAN card. Subsequently, we developed the central record-keeping infrastructure for the National Pension System and the Atal Pension Yojana. We are proud to share that we host the National PAN database of over 76 crore PAN records and today enable the entire BFSI sector for providing various citizen-centric services. We have more than 63% share in PAN issuance since inception, and in the social securities business, in the pension business, we have a 97% share in NPS and a 100% share in APY, the Atal Pension Yojana. Moving on from building e-governance platforms, our second pillar focuses on digital identity and provisioning of the same. In this space, we continue to be uniquely positioned as the only company in the country which is offering all facets of digital identity, covering the 4 key areas ranging from eKYC, e-authentication, which is Aadhaar-based authentication, e-signature, and online PAN validation. We have a diversified customer base and today provide services to over 1,500 corporates. We are one of the top 5 authentication and KYC service agencies to UIDAI in providing third-party identity services. Currently, these first 2 pillars account for almost 90% of our revenues. Our third pillar is more aligned with the current vision of the country in building open digital ecosystems. We term it as the work we are doing in enabling democratic access through ODEs, i.e. open digital ecosystems. Aadhaar and India Stack have been a watershed moment for India and have contributed significantly to the design and architecture of our DPIs. This has led to creation of multiple open and interoperable stacks across diverse sectors. We have made a conscious choice to build competence, capacity, and IP in open source technologies. We are actively contributing and supporting open digital blocks for creating use cases across sectors like e-commerce, transport and mobility, which we are all familiar comes under the umbrella of ONDC, in healthcare, in agriculture, and in education and skilling. Education skilling again coming under the umbrella of HONEST, online network, open network for education and skill transformation. Our fourth vertical, which sort of brings our complete business 360 degrees, is powering enterprise digitization. While our first 3 pillars are at a foundational level, where we power various entities, the fourth pillar leads us into enterprise digitization. Over there, we work on 2 levels. We have an application level and we have an infra level. At the app level, we power enterprises by extending our service stack of comprehensive APIs to enable end-to-end digital onboarding and data verification capabilities. This is a comprehensive RegTech stack which helps financial institutions to reduce risk and time to onboard customers, improve data accuracy, and empower them to create seamless digital experiences. We have also got awarded during the course of last year an account aggregator license by RBI. With the launch of Protean account aggregator, the company is now committed to drive economic empowerment and inclusion by enabling digital lending, onboarding, and various other journeys to enable a digital India at a corporate and consumer level. On the infra side of our enterprise digitization, we provide cloud and infosec services. While we have been at the forefront of establishing DPIs at a population scale and managing large central databases, we have extended this competency to seed lines of business in the area of information security advisory and cloud services. Protean Cloud again is a made in India energy efficient cloud, which is in synergy with the government's Atmanirbhar Bharat mission and seeks to enable digital transformation and adoption of homegrown technologies in citizen-centric IT-enabled services. While these are the 4 pillars which define our lines of business and our product and services footprint, it is equally important for us to call out that we are looking at taking the India Stack global, and there is a clear plan which we are currently enabling through geographic expansion. We are focused on moving into overseas markets, and over here we want to extend our experience and expertise in implementing large-scale, nationally important and data-intensive projects with a specific focus on tax, ID, social security, digital identity, and ODEs. Are very relevant for countries which are at an early stage of building DPIs, and we've had a lot of focused attention, especially in the geographies of African subcontinent, in Southeast Asia, which is where we see that the journey in building DPI is very much at an early stage. Coming to our performance in FY24, we are happy to share that our revenues grew 19%, led by double-digit growth across our core business verticals. During the year, the tax services which is one of our main pillars of revenue, grew by 12% year-on-year. During the course of the year, we crossed 5 crore PAN card issuance, which just was compared to 4.1 crores last year in FY23. We are also proud to report that the overall growth in this segment during the year has been significant. Compared to last year's year-on-year growth in the same quarter, there has been a degrowth, but to address that fact, we would like to share that this was primarily owing to the fact that during the same quarter last year, there was a one-off spike in PAN issuance, mainly due to government's push and certain regulatory deadlines. We expect the PAN issuance to continue to grow at the current levels, especially on the back of the fact that we have a young demographic content in our country, and we are looking at almost 1.2 crore youths getting added to the workforce every year. Equally important, we do realize that PAN is not a foundational ID as Aadhaar, and therefore it is not given at the time of birth, and today more than 35% of India's population still doesn't have a PAN card. So we do see the headroom, we see the growth coming in this particular area. Our second line of business on pension services, there was a 14% growth during the year FY24, with more than 1.37 crore accounts opened as compared to 1.22 CR in FY23. As on date, the company has a very diverse customer base. We serve more than 16,000 corporates, and along with that, we are the sole CRA for all central and state governments. Protean is again the first and continues to remain the largest central record-keeping agency, with more than 97% market share in NPS and 100% in Atal Pension Yojana, the flagship scheme of the government for the economically weaker sections of the society. Even today, as we see, there is significant headroom for growth in the pension business. India has a very low pension penetration, which is clearly evident from the fact that if we look at the number of EPFO accounts in India, which stands at 28 crore, the NPS and APY accounts combined is less than 8%. If we compare with other developed countries, in our country, just around 6% private sector employees are covered under pension. If we compare it to US, over there, almost 70% private sector employees are covered under pension. So we see a huge headroom for growth over here. Likewise, on the identity business, we are delighted to report a staggering growth of 62%, which is mainly driven by the entire Digital India growth. It is driven by rapid adoption of digital payments, enabling regulatory norms, and increasing penetration of digital processing of documents across government and private organizations. All these create multiple use cases for the four facets of identity I called out, be it e-sign, be it eKYC, online PAN validation, Aadhaar authentication, because all these services are pressed in the moment you are opening an account, you are doing a digital lending, you are doing a high-value transaction in the capital markets, you are doing any jewelry purchase, you are opening or you are purchasing or registering any property. So all these services are getting pressed into providing and enabling one or more of these use cases. During the year, we have onboarded over 200 business-to-business clients and won contracts from various state governments to make their processes more digitized. Our new businesses, which largely, if we can segment, comprise four verticals. They include the open digital ecosystems, the work we are doing on the data stack, cloud and infosec, and the expansion into international markets. While all these businesses are having early momentum, we especially see that open digital ecosystems are gaining traction, and there's significant network adoption, especially in ONDC, which is probably one of the more advanced ODEs as we look at the areas in which we are contributing. In terms of profitability, the company reported a PAT of 97 CR. We are down 9% year on year, but this is clearly due to our investments in developing new business verticals in line with our strategic goals. Our key investments over the year have been in people and technology, and this is important to call out because the company has pivoted into getting competency built in core open source technology stacks, in centers of excellence on new areas of technology, which means emerging technologies like AI and blockchain, which we are introducing in a lot of our contributions in building open digital public infrastructures, ecosystems. And last but not the least, the fact that we are moving beyond the BFSI sector and contributing in multiple sectors, we are investing in sector specialists who lend us their expertise to work on these multiple open digital ecosystems. Equally important for us to call is that since we work on open source stacks, these tech stacks are fungible across different DPIs, and that gives us the ability to carry the same stack and invest and build multiple ODEs. We believe that these new business lines will be very critical for our business going forward, and we are doing our best to nurture them and help them achieve their full potential. The second reason I would like to call out, which again comes to a dip in our margins, is based on the provision that we've created, and we spoke about it the last quarter. This is something we have been managing and putting aside over a period of time, and this is related to a sovereign debt which we have on the projects we do with the income tax department. While these money we are very clear is definitely going to be coming back to us, but in cases some of this debt is outstanding for a long period of time, and as part of very prudent and conservative accounting practices, we are today starting to maintain provisions on these long outstanding debts. Post taking this provision, in this quarter, we have provided for 13.5 CR during the quarter. Post taking this provision, the net remaining provision will be around 28 CR, which will come through over the next 2 years. And while we expect this money to be recovered completely from the government, we are also would like to share with you that part of this provisioning that we are doing, or part of the money that is payable to us, also passes through as payable to our vendor partners, and therefore whatever provisions we are making do not have a full impact because they do have a pass-through element attached to them. Lastly, our balance sheet, again just to reiterate, continues to remain very strong. We have more than 700 crores of cash and cash equivalent, including marketable securities, and as has been the history of the company, we continue to be a debt-free company. To better utilize the cash on books and to maximize the return to our shareholders, we continue to actively seek inorganic growth opportunities and are especially interested in investing in businesses which bring in cutting-edge technologies and provide us a faster time to market. During the course of the year, the company again forayed into multiple new businesses and products. Specifically, I would like to call out that in open digital ecosystem, there was a strategic expansion into 2 new ODEs. One was in the space of agriculture, where we worked on the agri stack, the core agri stack for the nation. And second was in the space of education and skilling under the Open Network for Education and Skill Transformation Honest. ONDC, as I mentioned, has shown good traction, and we can definitely see numbers in terms of adoption and network expansion showing very promising growth. During the course of last year, as I already mentioned, we got our account aggregator license and we launched that business. Equally important for us on the data stack front, we launched RISE with Protean. It is a comprehensive multi-sector API marketplace cum sandbox that aims to provide over 300 plus APIs across digital onboarding, credit verification. It also supports various DPI-related APIs in the space of ONDC, Agri, Health, and Honest. And last but not least, we also launched an AI-powered CKYC solution. I am very pleased to announce that the Board of Directors has recommended a final dividend of 100% on the face value of rupees 10 per equity share for FY24. Going forward, we remain strongly optimistic on the digital India growth and are committing to pioneering transformative technology that is collaborative, that is equitable, and democratizes opportunity at a population scale. We continue to remain one of the very few companies which has worked and built platforms and digital ecosystems at this scale, at a population scale. We will continue to likewise add value to enterprises, consumers, and governments through our unique combination of technology and expertise in e-governance. With this, I would like to hand over to Sudeep, our CFO, for a detailed discussion on our operational performance. So thank you very much for listening to me, and Sudeep, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Good evening, everyone, and I am pleased to welcome you all, and thank you again for joining us for the full year results call. Currently, India is witnessing massive digital transformation, the foundation of which lies in building a ubiquitous digital infrastructure. Protean is privileged to be at the forefront of this dynamic ecosystem and continues to be one of the cornerstones of the digital India evolution, laying the foundational pillars in creating the ecosystem across the sectors. Let me take you through the financial highlights for the year. In financial year 24, our consolidated revenue from operations soared to around 882 crores, growing by 19% year-on-year, led by noteworthy performance across our core business lines, with tax services, pension services, and identity services registering impressive year-on-year growth of 12%, 14%, and 62% respectively. Additionally, we are seeing early momentum in our new businesses as well. Adjusted EBITDA for the year stood at 196 crores, reflecting 11% growth year-on-year, with current margin of 20.6% in financial year 24, mainly on account of the continued investments that we have made in the new business verticals. Profit after tax for financial year 24 stands at rupees 97 crores in FY24, and this is after the provisions of around 39 crores that we have reported in the books of accounts. I'm happy to state that our balance sheet position continues to remain strong, with cash and cash equivalents of more than 700 crores. We continue to maintain our debt-free status and are looking to accelerate our internal cost levers at a sustainable rate. Our well-established business model, coupled with strong cash flows, multiple strong businesses that have delivered results over last more than 2 decades, has resulted in a net cash balance of around 151 crores at the end of the year. Looking ahead, we continue to strive for growth opportunities and championing the vision of a digitally empowered India with a robust regulatory framework. Our journey has just begun, and we are excited about the endless possibilities that lie ahead. With that, I invite and discussions from the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touch-tone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handset while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Sumangal Pugalia from Rare Enterprises. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So my first question is on the tax segment. When we talk about a high base in the last year, can you elaborate on that? Like what can be the normalized sort of PAN issuances and the impact specifically for this quarter due to that?
So largely, if you look at it, the PAN issuance on the average, if you see it over the last few years, is around 6 to 7 crore new PAN issuances every year. And as I mentioned earlier, PAN not being in a way a saturation identity because you don't generally get a PAN card when a child is born, unlike Aadhaar. Today there is a huge population out there, maybe over 50 crore people in the country who don't have a PAN card. So as people come into either their first employment or they are opening their first bank account, the PAN card becomes a relevant document for issuance. And we are consistently seeing this happening. As I mentioned earlier, while at times there have been, certain initiatives or deadlines like Aadhaar PAN linkage or, some other DBT cases happening where number of PAN cards have spiked, but around 7 to 8 CR is what we are seeing as a growth factor for PAN card issuance year on year.
Okay, sure. And my second question is on the new initiatives. So while, the commentary is good, quarter on quarter also we've seen revenue actually go down. So can you just talk about, some of the actual revenue lines and specifically on ONDC? When, right now, what is the revenue structure and when do you see it getting linked to the GMV of ONDC?
So the revenue structure for us today is basically, I would say there are two tracks to it. At one level, it is we are providing the entire digital public infrastructure on which ONDC sits. So this is just like, to give an example, just like you have UPI being run by NPCI to enable the payments in the country. We today provide the registry and gateway services to enable the ONDC transactions. For these registry and gateway services, as of date, we are directly compensated by ONDC as a market infrastructure, as a market institution. And this is something which naturally at this stage is done at the ONDC level. This could very well, like UPI, become a market participant compensated model going down the line. So that is one stream of revenue. The other revenue is more on the lines of a SaaS model. I would split that part into two sorts of services. One is where you are providing buyer and seller technology. It could be to enable digital commerce for buyers and sellers. To enable open finance on ONDC, it could be lenders and borrowers. To enable transport and mobility on ONDC, it could be riders and taxis or transport services. So in all these cases, it's a SaaS model where we provide buying and selling technology, and this is given to corporates in all likelihood. And over here there is an AMC model, and then there's a SaaS model which plays with it. The third part is more like extension services. So as you look at various other enabling requirements on an ONDC platform, you have extension services like reconciliation and settlement modules. You have issuance and grievance module. You have catalog as a service. So all this technology is again something we built and adapters to plug into the ONDC ecosystem. And these again are provided to various, network participants who want to engage with the ONDC ecosystem, who want to enable payments or completion of payment for a buyer and a sell. So that is where we provide our technology, which again runs on a SaaS model. So this in a way is the two-tier structure of our revenues coming from ONDC. And as I mentioned earlier, some of the ONDC numbers you would be familiar with, which again from ONDC are getting published today. ONDC itself is showing very strong growth in terms of the network, in terms of the growth of the network. Today we have almost 280,000 plus sellers who are there, and this is the ecosystem that has got created. And similarly, the number of transactions in ONDC are growing significantly. So these are the various cases where we are seeing that ONDC adoption and penetration is growing in the country.
Sure. So currently for the gateway